So Mozart's music should be played more romantically. I'm sure that's not anything you've ever heard or heard too often. That being said, many folks when playing Mozart, play Mozart a little bit timidly and apologetically. However, Mozart was a really larger-than-life character, and you hear that in all his music. And the opera influence in Mozart's music is so obvious. And anytime you listen to his music, you really hear so many of those different parts of his different operas. So what does it mean to play it romantically? It means to really kind of listen to all the sort of influences, the sort of eclectic nature, the personality changes and all that. But you still have to play it within the classical style, and that's very important. So in this video, we're going to touch upon Mozart 4 and all those different influences and how to play it romantically, but still conserve the classical nature of the music. So before we begin, please hit that subscribe button so you'd be the first to know when I release a video. So the very beginning of this concerto in the intro is a trumpet call and should be played as such, with lots of personality, with a lot of romanticism in that regard. As you go on, you can hear the tenderness and the sort of really sweetness of this next line, okay? As you move to the end of it, you kind of, to the end of the introduction, you get this sort of climactic moment with a real hero kind of ending to this trumpet call. Again, really thinking of it in that way as opposed to playing it very sort of carefully. Then starting with this exposition, okay, again, very earthy, very sort of soulful, very sort of interesting. Still with the classicism, with the 2x2s and the slurs, but still feeling sort of romantic as you do it. As it moves on, you kind of go through these different sort of personality changes, okay, with these sort of different kind of flourishes. Again, really lively, very energetic. Where eventually you come to the, okay, it's done again in a classical manner, but still it has to have this sort of energy and jovialness to it. When we move on to this next part here, this is so obvious an operatic reference, okay? It's a bass or a tenor singing a lower line, and then with a laugh, okay? Then moving on to where the soprano then takes it over. But then it's minor, so it's very whiny and sarcastic. And then mimicking the same laugh. I'm sure you can hear that, okay? And then we move on to something, again, a little bit more playful and joyful. Okay? Again, it has so much sort of lively, very colorful music. To where we get to here, where's this sort of heroic ending to this exposition. Then following the cadence of the solo violin, you have then the first violins take over with this sort of jubilant celebration. Okay, and then they come in with the next sort of B theme. All is well, and then the first violin takes it over in the development. Until this next moment, this is an interruption, cut scene to something far more dramatic, okay? And then all of a sudden, this becomes very needy and very sort of dramatic, sounding very desperate. Until we get to this here, and then it's a duel. And we go through the circle of fifths going, and then maybe something a little bit more optimistic. Till we get to this next arpeggiated figure to kind of bring us out of this development. Again, going through the circle of fifths. But again, make sure that the key changes are sort of honored to with those color changes, okay? Then finally, we're getting some resolution. here, it's like you're taking a deep breath. Back to the recap. Okay? So as you can see, from the intro to the parts of the exposition and to the development all the way to the recap, there's so much of a story being told in sort of an operatic fashion. And that's why we're talking about playing Mozart's music a little more romantically. So again, respect the classical performance of it. We don't want to put too many portamenti or thick vibrato. It still should have that classical sound. But we have to remember, it's very romantic music. And I think it sounds that much more interesting and much more believable when it's performed that way. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you have any thoughts or any comments or anything you disagree with. Love hearing from you. And again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to learn more about playing the violin and fundamentals, as well as tips for auditions. See you soon.